Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose for Monday, October 12th, 2020. Almost halfway through October already. Can you believe it? Holy cow. So, as you can see, I'm using a different camera. For those of you who haven't seen this in a few days, I didn't get a chance to set the phone camera back up. It actually looks better, I'm told, if I'm further away. For some reason, this is really clear, but I'm not. I think it's a focusing deal. I don't know. So I'm going to run you through one of the reasons why, well, the only reason, really, why I am so pro medical cannabis. I was a truck driver trainer for Werner Enterprises. This was, like, at the time, I don't know what they are now, but at the time they were like the fourth largest trucking company in America. They're still pretty huge. They're like 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there now. But they're really big. They got the big blue trucks that you see cruising down the interstate. Werner Enterprises on the side of them. And I did, for a while, I did driver unload. I was on the dedicated route for Family Dollar. You know, all the Family Dollars you see. I was actually the driver that would bring them all the bleach and the pop and all the goodies they have in their store. That was me. So there for a while, then I got on Midwest Dedicated, and so to where I was just right in the little Midwest area there. And one day I was going and pulling the fifth wheel for the trailer, and I felt this like pop and the shooting pain in my back. I won't bore you with all the details, but fast forward, go to multiple doctors, and I'm on workers' compensation, and I am told that my only option in order to stay on workers' compensation is to have surgery, a triple lumbar fusion, as a matter of fact. For those of you not familiar with what that is, the discs in your back have letters and numbers associated with them, right? L is for your lower back. S is your sacrum, which is basically your tailbone. And it goes L, S1. I had actually L3 through S1, and they were fused together. Oops. This was very, very painful. It took me weeks to get back on my feet and learn how to walk again and all of that. It was not fun. It was miserable, and I hated every moment of it. Unfortunately, there were not a lot of options as to treatments. There were other things that could have been done, but when you are on workers' compensation, you have to do what you're told. They tell you what treatment you're going to get. They do not offer you things. They do not say, well, what's the doctor say? They say, well, this is what we've determined for your case and what you have, and this is what you have to have done, and this is what we're going to pay out. So I had the surgery because the other alternative was for them to cut me loose. You're not going to get any workers' compensation. You're not going to get any money. We're not going to take care of your medical bills. That was the other option. So I had the surgery. I had a triple lumbar fusion done. And after that, after I healed and was all set, I couldn't drive truck anymore. So I started at Indiana State Prison. Now, the downside, if you know anyone who's had back surgery, especially a failed back surgery, it gets progressively worse over time. If it's unsuccessful or failed, it will gradually get worse. Now, the original reason, what was originally wrong with me was I had multiple herniated discs and spinal stenosis, which is a narrowing of the basically the space where the spinal cord sits, and it gets narrower. So any kind of pressure on it results in excruciating pain. There is not nowadays, just so you know, by the way, medical technology has come a long way. But since I had a fusion, the treatments that are available now are not available to me. Anyway, what I did have though eventually was a spinal cord stimulator, and that was an implant, a spinal implant. And what it does is it sends pain, it sends electrical signals that's supposed to basically override your body's pain response. And so instead of feeling pain, you feel this weird, odd sensation that you get used to, but you feel it instead of pain. Again, really, this is a very, very long, convoluted story. I'm going to kind of shorten it for you. But I had this stimulator. Hey, Paul, good to see you. Jack, Paul. So they put this spinal cord stimulator in. Now, the initial one, when they put it in, I was working at Indiana State Prison, and they put it in for whatever reason, and I'm not going to mention doctors' names. I'm not going to get into all of that because that's a whole other thing. But for whatever reason, the doctor that I had at the time did not put me on antibiotics, and the first implant got infected. The first implant was through a certain company, and it got infected, and I couldn't even turn it on for the first 2 weeks. So I got it put in, was all messed up, waited my 2 weeks, went to the doctor, come to find out it was infected. It had to come out. I didn't even get to use it. So it gets pulled out, and some time passed. Then they waited for everything to heal up. Everything was okay. They put a new one in. And this one worked. This one worked really, really well. It was by a different company. And it worked really, really well for about the first 3 to 4 years. It worked just exceptionally. Unfortunately, during the time there, it did, again, my back did continue to get progressively worse. And I'm going to tell you, when I initially had the spinal fusion, I was put on so much pain medication and because I have something called hyperanalgesia. Now, if you look that up, what that is that means it takes a lot more pain medication for me than it does for the normal average everyday person, right? Hyperanalgesia means that what would work on Joe, for example, or Don doesn't work on me. I don't even feel it. I can't tell the difference. So I was on enough medication to kill some people. Obviously, tons of side effects, insane cost. We're looking at hundreds of dollars a month in prescription costs. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. The surgeries themselves. Now, the first surgery, the triple lumbar fusion, that was covered. That was covered by the workers' compensation, right? Because that was what they wanted to do. That's what I had to have. Boom, done. But then they cut you loose, right? Maximum MMI, maximum medical improvement. You're not going to get any better. We're done with you. Here you go. Here's your piddly check. Now get out of here. Now, this, of course, knowing what I know today, I never would have said, yeah, okay. But here we are. You learn as you go, right? So now I have a destroyed back, a fusion between, let's see, L3, 4, 5, S1, so a triple, yeah. So 3 areas that were fused together, or vertebrae first fused together, and multiple prescriptions. Now, the interesting thing that I found later on in life, after going through all of this and dealing with opioids and withdrawals and all the things associated with it, is that medical cannabis has all the pain relief with none of the side effects. I cannot, in good conscience, allow veterans and regular citizens to suffer the way that I did when it's as simple as bringing it up to a vote. It's as simple as getting on the House floor and explaining to people who don't understand. It isn't that they don't want to understand. It's that they truly don't. They don't have the information. They don't have the life experience. They don't have the access to the life experience that I do, that I can explain to them. Here's what morphine does. Here's what Percocets do. Here's what Vicodin does. And here's what medical cannabis does. It'll take care of the pain. It is non-addictive. You do not owe your suffering in life to companies that are not out to help you. If anyone has figured anything out in 2020, it is that pharmaceutical companies are not out to cure diseases. They're not out to cure your pain. Look at the most recent release from our current Attorney General's office, Curtis Hill. Look at the most recent release. He is suing these companies that make these drugs, because that's what they are. They're drugs. Make no mistake about it. There's cannabis, which is a drug, and then there's Percocet, Vicodin, all of these other medications, which are drugs. And it is absolutely critical that we get people into Indiana House that can explain it to these people, because look, we have a Republican supermajority in Indiana Congress. What does that mean? That means these people are terrified of losing their base. If we can explain to them, if we can get across to them that voting for this legislation and making it a reality is not going to lose the election for you, because that's what most of them care about, unfortunately. It's what they care about. They care about losing their elections. If we can explain to them, look, I went through this. I know the difference. I know. And the other thing that I really want to clarify and get across to you, for those of you who have not experienced a chronic health issue, whether it be diabetes, whether it be chronic pain, whether it be the list is limitless, so I'm not going to go, obviously just start rattling them off. But if you have not experienced a chronic health problem, then you may not know this. But when you go to your doctor, and talk to them about your treatment options, it is not up to you and your doctor. Those are not the people that make the decisions. The doctor will tell you, yeah, the best thing for you is this. Good luck getting it covered. Good luck getting the doctor to be able to get what you need past the insurance company. Because the insurance companies are the ones who dictate what treatment you receive, what medications you get. There have been several times when the doctor said, well, you know what the best thing for you would be this, right? And then I go to the pharmacy to get it filled or make the appointment for whatever procedure he had, and insurance company says, sorry, can't do that. What do you mean you can't do that? Well, it's either it's not part of your coverage, or you have to have this first. We know that this medication will help you. Let's take, what do we got? Lyrica, right? Those of you familiar with Lyrica, it is for nerve pain, okay? Especially diabetic neuropathy, but also other types of nerve pain. Well, I was going to get Lyrica, right? Because the doctor, we tried all kinds of stuff. And again, I have hyperanagesia, so not many things work with me. Doctor said, we're going to give you some Lyrica. Go ahead and get it filled. Well, the insurance company says, I'm sorry, you can't take Lyrica. You have to try this other stuff first. What other stuff? What is that? Doesn't matter. You have to try this first. And if this doesn't work, then you can take Lyrica. Well, wait a minute. Do I have to pay for this? Well, of course you have to pay for it. Well, I haven't met my deductible yet. Doesn't matter. You have to take this first. Okay, so you're telling me that the stuff that the doctor prescribed for me, you're not going to cover until I take this other stuff. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's part of the problem. We have these insurance companies that are making decisions about your health, not based on what's best for you, not based on what's best for me, but what's best for their bottom line. That has to change. It has to change. Paul says, let's see, first he says we need to bring a bunch of testimonials to committee, and we do. We have got to get people that have experience in these areas, and we need to get them in front of the lawmakers so that these people can hear what is going on, so that they can hear, look, I took this, I took that, I have done, look, ladies and gentlemen, I have done every single thing that my doctor has asked me to do. Everything. I have done every last thing. I have done every treatment. I have done every nerve ablation. I have done every surgery. Every single thing the doctor said, listen, you need to do this. I've done it. I've done it. And I am still suffering. Why? Because I had to do all the stuff and go through every step. And there are no other options in Indiana other than massive pharmaceutical companies. Paul says that's what they say. Not too many are on the right side. And I agree with that. He says, especially the VA. Bill Norris says right to try. And that's the thing. Isn't it our right to choose what is best for us, especially if we have doctors that are saying, look, this is the best thing for you. But that's not the way it works. Not in our healthcare system. We have insurance companies, we have pharmaceutical companies that they're determining what the treatment is for you. And that's why I will fight for medical cannabis here in Indiana. Will it be easy? Heck no, it won't be easy. I don't expect it to be easy, but I will tell you this. As a lifelong, staunch Republican, I can talk to these people in ways that they understand. I can talk to these committees. I can talk to these Republicans and make them understand that it's not just opening up the doors to reefer madness. It is actually establishing something. Look, we have veterans that are suffering in this state with PTSD, with countless conditions that could be alleviated. And why haven't we? Because why? Here's the thing. When no other state had dared to go against the federal government, okay, I can see it, right? You're scared of going against the federal government. You're afraid of saying, hey, we have, let's see, turn that up a little bit. I could understand before California, and I think there are 20 plus states now that have legalized medical cannabis. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I looked at a map today, actually. Paul says it makes a good point. The consequence of owing stockholders over those with the insurance plans, and that's absolutely right. We have to have different legislation, and I find it very, very interesting that up and down the ballot, we are getting more and more and more candidates who are saying, "Look, this has gone on long enough." I understand as well as anyone else the desire and the need to be a law-abiding citizen. I'm a law-abiding citizen, right? Even though it would help me greatly, I don't go to Illinois. I don't go to Michigan. I don't buy it and bring it back as much as I want to, as much as it would help me, because it's against the law. I'm running for state legislature. I can't go and break the law and do that. But what I will do is I will go to Indianapolis and I will tell these people, look, this has gone on long enough. We have to start taking steps. We have to make it legal because look, as much as the AG and the governor may not want to, especially Holcomb right now, we all know that he is anti-cannabis 100%. Todd Rokita, anti-cannabis, right? I don't know about the other guy. I can't vote for Wine Apple or whatever his name is. I have to vote Todd Rokita. Law and order. It doesn't matter how the AG feels about it. It doesn't matter how the governor feels about it, because if we can get the legislature to understand how important this issue is to Hoosiers, because I'm going to tell you, even the staunchest Republicans, the staunchest Bible thumping, deep conservative family value Republicans tell me they're in favor of it for medical. Even the people who believe it is the devil's lettuce, excuse me for a moment, my nose itches. Even the people who tell me that it's bad, I don't want it in the streets, I don't want it in my schools, I understand that. Even they are for it for medical. I don't understand how it has taken Indiana this long. But I will tell you this. It's something that needs to be addressed. So to catch you up to speed, truck driver, correctional officer, real estate, and through it all, I've done what the doctor has said. I have gone to my appointments. I have done the things that I've needed to do. And now here I am. The latest implant, I'm gonna tell you what happened with it. So after about 7 years of the implant, it was kind of going downhill towards the end. Eventually, it got to where it just didn't help at all. So what they decided was they were going to replace the implant with basically the latest model, right? Like replacing your printer from 10 years ago with the new latest model, right? So they took the old one out, put the new one in, and it was absolutely horrible. The surgery was absolutely horrible. I was down for a little while, and again, excruciating pain. I could barely stand. It hurt so much, but I powered through. As a matter of fact, the Lake County Lincoln Day dinner, they had gone in because one of the wires was right on my spine, right at the base of my spine there where the fusion is, right? You got the vertebrae here. The wire was running right here. So anytime I would sit back against something, it would push on my spine, and holy crap. So they went back in, moved the wire over, right? Fixed me back up. I was able to turn the device on and all of that. So fast forward, and it's been very slow healing. For whatever reason, the wires are it's rubbing, it's painful, it's not fun. But the day I had surgery to move those wires, right, I went to the Lake County Lincoln Day dinner. Why? Because that's how important this is to me. That at the time I was running for U.S. Congress, and that's how important this is. Because we cannot sit idly by anymore. I will take a little bit of pain if it means that I get to make a difference. We have to make a difference. We have to get our butts into office. Me, up and down the ballot, we've got to get people into office that know what it's like, that have real world experience with this crap, and can talk to these legislators and tell them, look, man, this is no joke. This is not something on a spreadsheet. This is real life, dude. This is real life. I spent weeks in a hospital bed. I spent weeks in my own bed at home because I begged them to let me go home after my initial back surgery, right? So now I have a complication from that surgery, which I have a picture, but I'm not going to share it with you because it's gross. I'm going to tell you this. The wire that they moved is now coming through. Not cool. Not cool. And all of this, all of it could have been prevented. All of it. From the very beginning, had medical cannabis been an issue, I could have been on medical cannabis and I could have gone to several different alternatives, whether it be a chiropractor, whether it be any number of other things. And you make a good point, Paul. Cali has been legal since the 90s, right? We can make it legal here medically. It boggles my mind that these politicians won't listen to the polls that say over 80% of Hoosiers, over 80%, I believe the last one I read was 87% of Hoosiers are in favor of medical cannabis. Then why are these legislators so quick to dismiss it? I'll tell you why. I know why. It's because they don't really care about you. Let's make that perfectly clear. Most, not all, most of these legislators do not care about you at all. And I know it hurts. It hurts for me when I first learned that. I know it hurts for you to really understand that, but they care about themselves. They care about staying in office. They care about raising a bunch of money. They care about kickbacks that they possibly might get. That's what they care about. I'm not doing this to get rich. I don't care about getting rich. I ran for Congress because I thought I could make a difference, and I'm running for state legislature because I know I can make a difference. At least with state legislature, I can talk to Hoosiers. I can talk to Republicans. That's who hold the supermajority. I can tell them, look, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're looking at. This is what the polls say. This is what the science says. And more importantly, this is what all the people that I've brought to talk to you, this is what they say. Jack says after this huge tax deficit they will have next year because of low business income of 2020, they will need the cannabis taxes. And you know what? That's another great point that I'm glad you brought up, Jack. So let's look at it this way. We were told by a legislator that this next coming legislative session, 2021, hopefully I'll be in there to help, but we're looking at a 15% reduction across the board to the Indiana state budget. 15%. Now, that's a lot of money. 15% for the state of Indiana is a heck of a lot of money. Let's see how much that is. Indiana's 2019 budget, because that's when they did it. Let's see here. The Indiana state budget, 31, this was in 2016. The total estimated government spending in Indiana in fiscal year 2016 was $31.4 billion with a B. Now, state funds, this is important, state funds were $18.9 billion, federal 12.4. So almost $19 billion. $19 billion, 15% of that. So we're looking at a lot of money that's going to have to be cut from the budget. Why? Because these stupid ass lockdowns. Don't even get me started on that. The bottom line is I am very, very passionate about this for a reason, and it's why I, as a Republican, scored the Indiana normal endorsement. That's a big deal because they know that I'm serious. I know what I'm talking about. Research. I learned about it, and I actually considered moving. I'm going to tell you, for a long time, I looked at Michigan. We looked at moving just across the border into Michigan because of it being legal there. Illinois, absolutely not. Now, don't get me wrong. After this whole crazy lockdown thing and, Tyrant Whitmer, I'm glad we didn't move to Michigan. But I'm going to tell you one of the big issues, one of the big hurdles when it comes to medical cannabis is, and recreational in Illinois and Michigan as well, that you need to be aware of, and that I am fully aware of, is that if you are going to get medical cannabis or you are going to buy recreational, it can definitely affect your Second Amendment. And it's something that people need to be aware of. They need to be, and it's something that I will strive to make sure gets addressed, because I hold the Second Amendment sacrosanct. For those of you who know that, it's very, very important to me. And, Paul brings up a good point. And he says, rainwater, he meant good thing, rainwater will help fix our budget problems. So let's assume for a moment that rainwater does get elected instead of Holcomb or Woody Myers. What does this mean? I've talked about it before, but it's nice for rainwater to say these things and say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The governor isn't able to do much without the legislature, but I do know there are a number of legislators that are willing to work with him. I'm one of them. I don't care who the governor is. I mean, I care on a personal level, but as a legislator, I don't care. It's the same regardless. I absolutely intend on one of my first priorities to be limiting the scope and length of executive orders and emergency declarations. Those are going to be curtailed. But here's the point. We as Hoosiers, we have to back those candidates that are absolutely able and willing to get in there and make a change. There are people who talk for long periods of time about how they know the suffering and the pain of their constituents and how they, know how to make and blah, 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 right? I can tell you, I've been through it. I have been through the pain. I have been through the nausea. I have been through the surgery. I have been through the system. I had to declare medical bankruptcy because of the hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills that resulted from it. It is the way it is. And this is something that we have to come together on. I don't care which left, right, center, libertarian, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't, Green Party, it doesn't matter. This is something that will benefit all Hoosiers. All Hoosiers. Personally, I fail to understand why this is still a thing in 2020. I fail to understand why these people are so adamantly opposed, except for the pharmaceutical companies. That's the big red flag that tells me where the power is. And we need change. And all of these politicians, they always run on, change this and be that and do this and all that. We have to start a movement ourselves. It's not enough to go on these politicians' pages and tell them what you want or call their office. You have to vote them out. If they're not doing what you want, vote them out. And I'm going to tell you, there are very, very, very few incumbents up and down the ballot that I can honestly tell you should be reelected. Very few. I'm not going to get into it. I will tell you this. When I get elected, because I truly believe that 2020 is the year. I do. Up and down the ballot, I do believe 2020 is the year where the normal system is in for an upset. I believe that many of these people are tired of the same old crap over and over and over. I've talked to people who have voted Democrat their entire lives and normally would have voted for my opponent hands down. Normally, they'd have just stamped that D ballot. And I have talked to them, and they have looked me in my eyes and said, I'm willing to give you a chance. As a matter of fact, I'm going to vote out every single incumbent. Everyone. They happen to be a lifelong Democrat, so they dislike Trump, so they're going to vote out Trump as well, they think. And hey, that's their right. But I'm going to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot continue to stand idly by, regardless of your political leanings. Obviously, I support Trump, but it doesn't matter what your political leanings are. You have got to get involved, because our country is not going to stay our country unless we get involved. And if that means running for office, did that. Paul says lots of shaking up in 20. Absolutely. And that's true. I do, sir. I serve you. I serve all of District 9, and I serve the state. And the governor serves the state, not Washington. And that's really, really important. One of the firmest beliefs that I have that doesn't get talked about enough is the 10th Amendment. And it states that the state is sovereign. The original plan was to keep the federal government, very, very tiny. The states were supposed to be essentially countries unto themselves, so that they could pass the laws that they want and do the things that they want. I find it interesting that Indiana has a part-time legislature. For those of you who didn't know that, yes, we do not have a full-time legislature, which means they're only in session for a little while and then they go home. Just to actually hold regular jobs, which I'll get into that later, but we're gonna do a little history lesson another time, a little civics lesson, so you can learn how legislature works in Indiana, for those of you who don't know. But I'm going to tell you this. Indiana has a part-time legislature, right? I would argue that Indiana has a lot more pressing need for laws than the federal government does. The federal government does not need, in my opinion, full-time legislators. They do not need people in there all the time making our lives constantly more convoluted. But that's a topic for another time. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you watching this video, the majority of you are likely already my supporters, and I greatly appreciate that. But I'm going to tell you, there's no way we're going to do this without your help. There's no way I'm going to get elected without your help. Share the message every day, ladies and gentlemen. Every day I am hearing from new people that say, hey, I hear what you're saying. I really, really like what you're saying. I support you. Some of them have given financially. Some of them don't even live in my district. They believe in what I'm doing so much. They don't even live in District 9. They live by Indianapolis. They live further west. And you know what, Paul? Unless you're Lucas, he serves us all year on his time and dime. And that's absolutely right. Look, Jim Lucas has taken some serious flack for his pushback against the governor's orders. He has taken flack. He has a target on his back by the Republican establishment. I'm going to tell you that. The Republican establishment does not want him in office. I'm honestly surprised they have not found someone to primary against him and pour a bunch of money. I really am. Expect it next time, because this time there was an article that was published. I forgot exactly. I think it was the Indy paper, and it was about Jim Lucas endorsing Donald Rainwater, and the exact words used by the Republican Party were two words: good riddance. Good riddance. Why? Because he dared to go against them. Now, he has been the center of controversy a couple of times where he has shared some memes, God forbid, and they make the claim that he's racist. I haven't seen anything racist from the man. I follow Jim Lucas on Facebook. I look at his posts. What I will say is he speaks up when he believes something and he says something. I personally can't ask for more. And that's the type of legislator that I'm going to be for you. I'm not going to sit idly by while stuff like mask mandates and business shutdowns happen and not say anything. I don't care what party is doing it. I don't care who's in charge. I don't care what kind of pushback there is. It's not going to happen. As my mom used to say, ain't going to happen, Captain, not on this ship. And I know that's probably dated for most of you, but I remember it vividly from my childhood. My mom was a larger-than-life woman, single mother. I I've talked before about how I grew up without my dad. I grew up with a single mother who was on public assistance. I know about the struggle. I know about growing up in a crappy neighborhood surrounded by, cars on blocks and hearing gunshots at night. I lived in Elkhart for a little while. I know about the struggle is real, right? Hashtag the struggle is real, and it is. I did not come from money. I did not experience a privileged silver spoon type life. Does that make me better than other people? No, absolutely not. Does it make me worse than other people? Absolutely not. What it does is makes me understand where these people are coming from when they believe that the system is rigged against them. I can understand that because I believed it myself for a long time. Even though I'm white, I can absolutely understand. And because I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it has nothing to do with colors. You know the color that matters? Green. That's the color that matters. Money. That's what it's about. It's about those with money versus those without. The haves and the have-nots. I'm going to tell you, I've never been a have. I am middle class now, thanks to lots of hard work and a wife who went to college and got a really good job. We're middle class now, thankfully. But I have been on that scrape by on a dollar, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I've done all that. I've seen my mom take 1 gallon of milk and with powdered milk make it into 2 gallons, right? Because she didn't have enough to buy 2 gallons of milk. I've seen all that. I've experienced all that. Beaten my share of macaroni and cheese, right? And the cancer-causing kind, too, with the packet, not the good shells and cheese they got now. They didn't have that when I was a kid, man. What's up with that? The creamy cheese sauce, like, what? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is our year. This is our year to take our government back top to bottom. And look, Paul, I know I'm going to talk to Paul here for a moment. I know you're a fan. Obviously, you got the libertarian hedgehog, right? It's a hedgehog, not a porcupine. You're a firm supporter of Joe Jorgensen, and I respect that. I will say this: it was absolute crap that Joe was not a part of the debates. I think that was ridiculous. I think she should have absolutely been. She's on the ballot in all 50 states. Why would they not allow her to debate? That said, I think it's a pretty safe bet that Joe Jorgensen is not going to win. However, that does not mean you should not vote for Joe if you believe Joe represents your interests. Just like down to the Indiana level, if you believe that Governor Holcomb represents your interests, that if you believe that Governor Holcomb made the best out of a bad situation and made the only choices that he could in that time by shutting businesses down and requiring a mask mandate and initially wanting to attach criminal penalties to it, if you believe that, and then of course had to back off because the AG said you can't do that. If you believe that Eric Holcomb represents your interests, vote for Eric Holcomb. If you believe, on the other hand, that we should have had even more stringent lockdowns and that the governor should never have backed off on criminal penalties for not wearing a a mask, then vote for Woody Myers because that's what he wants. He wants us to be, quote, more like Illinois, end quote. Now, I will tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you've noticed this. I went to the pumpkin patch the other day to deliver a sign to a good friend of mine. There were Illinois plates all over the pumpkin patch. And these people pull in with face masks on in their car, right? Guy, girl, little kids in the back, face masks on. They get out with their face masks on. They're outside, right? In a pumpkin patch, outside. If you believe so strongly in the types of things that your state has done with shutting it down, then why are you here? Why are you coming to Indiana to get a pumpkin if you believe that Illinois is doing the right thing? Anyway, if you believe that Woody Myers is the way to go, then you vote Woody Myers. If, on the other hand, if you believe that Rainwater is the best person for the job, then you vote Rainwater. Stop with the third party wasted vote crap. I'm a Republican, right? I'm running as a Republican. I believe in the Republican Party, but I am so tired of that messed up logic that a vote for this person somehow equals a vote for another person. It doesn't make sense unless nobody votes for who they really want. Unless people are voting and trying to play a mind game. I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that kind of crap, that kind of voting, the kind of voting where you vote against someone rather than for someone, is exactly why we have the system we have today. It is why we have corrupt-ass politicians that are filling their pocket with your money, your dollars. It's not their money. It's our dollars. And you're right, Paul. Paul says 99% of Washington is a yes man. And it's not just Washington. It's in state governments. It's in city governments, county, all up and down the ballot. And yeah, Paul says JoJo is 3 votes, right? You got to vote for JoJo. You got to vote against Trump and a vote against Biden. How that works, I'm not sure. But according to them, it does. I would never try to tell someone else who to vote for, because I don't believe in that. I'm not these crazy ads running on TV telling you, you have to vote for Biden, otherwise bad stuff's going to happen. You have to vote for Trump, otherwise socialism's going to happen. I tell you, vote for the person you believe in, really and truly. And this is important, ladies and gentlemen. Don't just go by what CNN, MSNBC, Fox, or any of these other news stations tell you. I said this before. I'm going to say it again for those new viewers. If you really want to see how biased the media is, pick a day, a random day of Donald Trump's coronavirus task force press conference. Watch the whole thing in its entirety, and then watch CNN's coverage of it, Fox's coverage of it, OAN's coverage of it, MSNBC's coverage of it. Do that, because then you will see how you are being led. I don't care if you hate Trump. If you hate Trump, that is absolutely your right as an American. But hate Trump for the right reasons. Hate Trump because you're informed and you understand what Trump is doing, and you understand what he's really saying. But I digress. Vote for the person that you believe in. Don't just vote against Trump. Do you honestly believe that Biden will be a good president? Actually, do you honestly believe Kamala Harris will be a good president, because that's who's going to take over? But that's a whole other thing. If you truly believe that the Democrats are doing the best for this country, and that's the best thing for you, then vote for them. Absolutely. Vote for the Democrats up and down the ticket if you truly believe that each of these people are going to do what's best for you. If you believe the Republicans are going to do what's best for you, then vote for Republicans up and down the ticket. Now, personally, I don't advise straight ticket voting. That's on you. If you believe that a certain individual is going to do the best for you, vote for them, not against this other person. Don't just vote against someone. Vote for someone you believe in. You're welcome, Paul. I think that's important. Look, I'm not running as a libertarian, but I will say that the Libertarian Party in some areas shares a lot of views as the Republican Party. There are a lot of things that mesh up. I don't necessarily agree with some of the aspects, right, that they believe in. There are some things that I believe they're very wrong about, but I think their heart's in the right place. For example, I'm going to just touch on a couple real quick, right? The open borders thing. It's a common misconception that libertarians believe in just opening up the borders. I understand that that's not, especially Joe, that's not what she's talking about. What she's talking about is heralding back to an earlier immigration pattern where we had people coming in at Ellis Island, and it was a much faster, simpler immigration process. I'm not sure that is where we want to go. I think we need a little tighter security, and I think we need. I will say this: we definitely need to revise our immigration laws. And Paul, you're absolutely right. Kamala is a cop. She was a DA for years, and in that time, she spent lots and lots of money putting a lot of people away. She did not allow people new trials when evidence would have shown that they were not guilty. It's bad. But look, vote for the people you believe in. And more than anything else, if you take nothing else away from today's video, if you don't take anything else away, become an educated voter, ladies and gentlemen. Learn who is on your ballot, not just president, because let's face it, we got nonstop media coverage talking about how Orange Man bad, right? Or how, or on Fox or OAN talking about the gaffes that Biden constantly makes and how he's not there. You understand, if you don't know who you want to vote for president by now, I'm not sure what to tell you, right? Talk to some of the local friends. I'm going to tell you this too, real quick. If you have unfriended someone because of who they are voting for, not because they personally attack you over your vote or something like that, but just because they choose to vote a different way than you really need to rethink that. Because I have people on my friends list that are very left. I mean, way left. And that's okay, because posts and I look at them, and many times I learn things that I would not have learned from the echo chamber that are most of my friends. Anyway, if you believe that someone is doing the best for you, vote for them. Learn about all the candidates on your ballot, all the way down to your local positions. There are people running for school board this year. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, even if you don't have children, you need to understand what these people believe in. You need to look into them, and you need to understand where they stand on politicized teaching. These teachers that are bringing their political views in the classrooms, I'm not for that. I'm not for that. As a matter of fact, my son just told me the other day, we've all heard about leftists, right, trying to control the agenda in their classrooms and teaching people about this and that and this and that, right? We're not going to mention any specific curriculum. Let's just say that we've all heard tales, right? There's actually a teacher that my son has that is the opposite end of the spectrum and is very conservative. And my son has actually seen, now my son happens to be a Republican, right? So he's in the teacher's graces. But what about the students that believe differently? He said he's actually believes that this teacher is targeting people because they don't believe the same way. That's not cool. That's not cool. I don't care. I don't care if it's Fox News or CNN. They're both wrong, right? And Paul, you're right. It is badly worded, but unfortunately, I can't change how we portray that stance. You're right. I'm just going to say this about the libertarian platform. You guys need, on the national level, you guys need to hire somebody who can write your platform better than that, because it does sound bad. Now, that said, there's a lot of things that I agree with. I don't want to pay any more taxes than I absolutely have. Hell, I don't want to pay any taxes at all. Taxation is theft, right? Which is another reason, really quickly, we're going to end this, but I'm going to tell you really quickly, I find it very interesting that the Republican-held supermajority are the ones that have increased taxes and fees over 40 times. Over 40. They have raised taxes and increased fees up and down the board. I thought Republicans were the party of less taxes. Not none, but less. Smaller government, less taxes. That's the kind of Republican I am. Ladies and gentlemen, unless the person on that ballot that is the incumbent has done their job, it's time to give somebody else a chance. Even, look, In Indiana legislature, the term is 2 years. 2 years, which means you got 1 year of actually doing your job and 1 year of campaigning. If someone hasn't in a year, 2 years, but really that first year, if they haven't shown you what kind of person they are, if they haven't shown you I'm here for you, if they haven't been available, if they haven't answered your calls, your texts, your emails, get their ass out of there. Excuse my language, but get them out. It's time for some new blood. The worst that's going to happen is we have 2 years of somebody, right? Then the next time, get them out too, if they're not doing their job. My ultimate hope, I'd really like to go to Indianapolis. I'd really like to work for you, all of you. But if you see in 2 years that I'm not doing my job, vote me out too, because that's what the system is for. I thank you all, everybody, for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely imperative that you learn about the people on your ballot. Start locally. You know who's running for president. You know who's running for Congress. And look, even in District 1, it's a really simple choice. It really is. You got Mark Leyva, who's going to stand with President Trump, who is in favor of less taxes, who is in favor of the Republican platform, period. And you have Frank Mervan, who is in favor of Joe Biden, who is in favor of the Green New Deal, who is in favor of Medicare for all. Those are your options. You know who's on the ballot. Then you go down a little bit and you have your Indiana. Well, you got your governor race next. I would say that's probably the next most important race. Vote for who you believe in. If you believe in Eric Holcomb, vote for Eric Holcomb. If you believe in Woody Myers, vote for Woody Myers. If you believe in Donald Rainwater, vote for Donald Rainwater. I would never tell you who to vote for. But the next race down for Indiana legislature, I would ask that you vote for Dion. I would ask that you vote Dion Bergeron for state representative. Why? Because I will work for you and I will push very, very hard for what Indiana needs, for what Hoosiers have been telling people we need, which is medical cannabis. I'm going to slide that over like that to where it's going to fall. Dang it, I was hoping it would just barely stay to where you could see the whole thing, but that's all right. Thank you for coming out with me. I greatly appreciate it. Paul, thank you. And as always, Paul, I appreciate all of your support. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more to my story. And there's a lot more heartache and heartbreak and pain and suffering. But none of that is important. What is important is that I am here, able, ready, and willing to work for you, the voter. I'm my current state representative. People can't. They've been trying. They've sent emails. They've had phone calls. They have done all kinds of things to reach out, and it doesn't do anything. I'm here most nights at 7, and I just so you know, I'm going to continue to do this. Definitely if I win, probably if I lose. Although, real quick, I'm going to tell you, my one of the people that helped me with my campaign was like, "Hey, have you considered sponsors, right, for your show?" And I was like, if I lose, maybe. I'm not going to do it if I win. I think that would be kind of weird, brought to you by Eli Lilly. No. But hopefully I'll win, and then we won't have to worry about that. So that's another reason, right? If you don't want to see advertisements or anything like that, vote for me. I'm just messing with you. Thanks for joining me. God bless you. Oh, one more thing before we go. 2 things real quick. I'm going to run a banner, right? There you go. And I'm going to tell you, this coming Sunday, so that is, 2 things. The 17th, there is a huge rally, Freedom Rally in Valpo, 3 to 6 p.m. at the Urschel Pavilion. Make sure you go. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be food trucks, live music, tons of stuff. You'll get a chance to meet a whole bunch of candidates, including your favorite candidate for state representative, me. I will be there. There will be a guy dressed as Abe Lincoln. It'll be awesome. So see, the icon of the Republican Party will also be attending. I also got word that Cash Lee Kelly, I talked to him today, and he will be one of the speakers. Todd Rokita is the keynote speaker, but Cash, he's a phenomenal speaker. He does live videos. I would look him up. Seriously, if you don't know who he is, look him up. Kash space Lee space Kelly. Look him up. The man knows how to reach people. He knows how to reach people. He is a phenomenal public speaker, and he has agreed to come and speak. And I think I'm going to attend just for that, because I love watching his lives, man. He's got that magic touch. He really does. The one last thing, Sunday, I'm going to have Rachel Kessler on. I'm having the graphic made up tonight, and that'll be ready. I'm going to put it up and schedule it Sunday. Nitro burning funny cars. We'll have Rachel Kessler on. She is the state director for U.S. term limits, and we'll get a chance to talk to her and find out how term limits are going. I am the only person in my race to sign the pledge for term limits. I will support term limits for Washington and Indiana politicians, ladies and gentlemen, because it's past time. So with that, I will let you go right at an hour. Look at that. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2020. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.